Rightio, so we've got all our pieces for our thrust bearing and we need to put it together. So when we go up to new this time, we're going to skip down to the next section, which is assembly, putting things together. We're not doing a mold design, we are just doing a standard type of assembly. And like before, we had the millimeter IPT, we're using a millimeter IAM. IAM meaning Inventor Assembly. When we come into assembly, you're going to get a few slightly different icons up here. Chiefly, you're going to have this assemble tab, and it will probably say assemble from Content Center initially. The Content Center is like a hardware store. It's got all sorts of nuts and bolts and bits and pieces you can use to put things together. In the lower half of that button, I can change to say I want to place items. So when you click on place, then it brings up your library in this project folder of all of the parts that you've been working on. Now, where are we? Okay. I want to first of all bring in the lower ring for my thruster. It gives you a preview of what it looks like. So I'm going to say, open that one, please. So initially, it's just got this floaty thing. If I click once, it has a bit of a think, and it drops one of them off. Escape button will let me escape out of there. When you're rotating this around, get into the habit of using the view cube. I know there's a place where you can find a free rotate type of tool and just lets you move anywhere, but it really messes up how it relates to this front view, top view, right hand view, and that'll have knock-on effects in your drawing sheets later on. Another handy tool to use is this one here on the right, the little navigation wheel. So it will let you zoom in and out if you have trouble with the roller on your mouse. The orbit, well, it links to your view cube, so you can spin it around and look at it from all sorts of fantastic angles, panning around and so on. Let you play with that one and work it out. I'm just going to stick with this one here. At this point, this object can be moved anywhere in that 3D space. And I would like to lock it down so it is effectively sitting on a table and glued there. It can't move. To do that, I'm going to right mouse click on the icon for that lower ring, and down here near visibility, I want to ground it. So that one is locked in place, and all of the other parts I put in are going to connect to it and shouldn't be able to be moved away. Okay, so that's our base piece put in place. Next, I'm going to place in the ball bearing. So here I've got my ball bearing, the thrust ball bearing 3C, and I'm just going to position one of those, just the one. And I'll show you why in a moment. First, I'm going to constrain it into place. So constrain is locking those bits and pieces in and looking at the relationship between different parts. There's a few different types of constraints. For this ball bearing to fit a groove, we need to use the tangent constraints. So here you can see you've got a small pipe inside of a larger pipe. So it's an internal type of tangent as opposed to an external type of tangent. The one you tick will have that light hue of blue about it. So I want to take that ball bearing and put it into that groove. It pretty makes a click sound to make say, hey, I'll put this here. Do you want to do more, or are you finished doing your constraints? If you've got more to do, you click apply. If you're finished, we click OK. All right, so that's one ball bearing. There needs to be ball bearings lined up all the way around this little groove. So I can pattern, all right, so I can pattern them around in a circular fashion. What component am I patterning? It's that one. What is it following? So I'm selecting the inside of that race. How many are there going to be? Well, I've had a bit of a play around with this, and I know that 16 fit quite neatly. And what is the degree of separation between each one? It works out to be 22.5 degrees. basically work that out by saying, well, I've got 16 of these. What's 365 divided by 16? My answer is 22 and a half. So when I hit OK, now my ball bearings are sitting in the groove and they're ready to go. Now, just need to put the one on top. Really easy to do. We're going to go to place, find the piece I want to bring in, the upper ring, open that one up. And because I drew them in situ, it's already around the right way. Escape, I don't want more of them. Now for the constraint button. The constraint we're looking at this time is this insert one. So it's specifically set up for looking at how pins fit into holes, or different holes line up with other holes, just all cylindrical type of things. We want it to be opposed. It's not like I'm putting a peg in this hole. That's opposed to the other one. The lower edge of that upper ring compared to the upper edge of the lower ring. Now it's going to put them all the way together. It's not quite smart enough to realize that there's ball bearings in the way. I need to create an offset between them. If we think back to when we did the drawing, we needed to have 8 millimeters in between the two, and they'd be in the correct place. So I'm going to hit OK there. We'll look at it from the front. You can see I've got the bearings and the top washer. The top washer is not constrained in that it should be able to rotate. Oh, I thought that should rotate. Anyway, there we go. We've got our thrust washer complete as a full 3D model, and we can put that into, as a sub-assembly, into a bigger one later on. This one, when you go and save this one, File, Save As, and we're going to call this, look here, I've already got it saved as the part number 3 thrust washer, ready to go for later. All right, have a crack at that one, and you might have to have a few looks at this. It can be a little bit tricky, so have a bit of fun with it and see how you go.